Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. There are anyone who wants to follow the sources inside for tonight's session. There are three piles. There's 3 pages together, which is the complete sugya of Kanoim, Pogim, but we're not going to go through all those Gemaras tonight. And then there's 2 pages from an earlier parak in Sanhedrin, because we're going to contrast the Gedorim, right, with the Gedorim of Roidef. So those are 2 pages from the sugya of Roidef. And then there's 1 page from the Shulchan Aruch for a particular end that we're going to tie up tonight. We're not going to get everything done. It's going to be a series, Be'ezer Hashem, to go through the sugya thoroughly. We'll see if we can get it done between tonight and next week, Be'ezer Hashem. And if not, we'll go for a third week. And if we finish it, we'll pick a different sugya. Just one thing, and since this is going to be continuing next week, therefore it's important for me to point out, if we're having a shiur on the sugya of Kanoim Pogim, you don't serve children. You serve shish kebab. Right? Right? So for next week, I will be wrapping up the inquiries that we raised tonight. Please bring the appropriate food appropriate for the occasion. So we're going to read all of the halachos of Kanoim Pogim, oral halacha of Moshe Misinais. They're not based on psukim. They weren't built out of droshes. And therefore, true to form, as the Rambam tells us in his Hakdamat Tizroim, in halacha of Moshe Misinai, there is no machlokas, because it's what Moshe Rabbeinu said. There's no room to argue. So we're going to find that as on the Daf Gemara, things are very, very peaceful, because they're all just a series of halacha of Moshe Misinai that there is no machlokas about. Where things get hairy is, how do we Rishonim understand, and, the dinim that branch out. But let's, as it were, get the hardware and get the halacha of Moshe Misinai down before we start going into the different fields of inquiry that we have to address. So in the source sheet, Pei Aleph Amid Beis, the Mishnah says, "Agorvis a kasva v'makalu b'koisem v'abol aramis kanoim pogimbo." That the person steals a kli from the Beis Hamikdash, or if a person curses, God forbid, the one above, but not with the regular gedorim of megadef, mekalu b'koisem. So there's a machlokas what that means, right? And a bol aramis, and that is what happened in this week's parsha, right? That a person has relations with a shiksa, right? So kanoim pogimbo, says Rashi, kanoim pogimbo. People, upright citizens that are, taking, kina, how was the best word? They're taking vengeance, they're being mekana. They're standing up for the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, pogimbo, when b'shah sheroin es hamaisa, at the time that they see the action. Aval la'achar miken, but afterwards, emisosam misur lebezdin. Right, this person is not chayev misas bezdin. V'halacha l'Moshe Misinai. This is a halacha l'Moshe Misinai. So the first thing that's very interesting to note, Rashi already laid out that the din of Kanoim Pogimbo is b'shas maisa only. After it's over, right? Or if the guy escaped and was not killed at the time, he walks. Now this already puts it in a different category. That, let's say, the halacha of rodef, for instance, right? That if the rodef, you didn't manage to abort his killing, right? So he carries the severity of the sin of murder on his head, and Bezdin will try him for murder. And so you were allowed to, kill him to stop him from the act, right? And if you failed to do so. So if you were allowed to kill him to stop him, so stabra milsa, right, that it's a chiyuv misa, right, and if you didn't stop him, Bezdin takes it up with him. Kanoim po, this din of bol aramis b'shuk is very interesting. It itself is not chayiv misa. The sin itself is not chayiv misa, and if you missed the opportunity, right, to kill him in the act, he walks. So the question is, what exactly is the isser that he did? Right, that you're allowed to kill him b'shas maisa, but in halacha there's no statute of limitations. So if the kanoi didn't get him, you carry the penalty of the act, and there seems to be no penalty to this act afterwards. So we have to understand what the severity is, that b'shas ma'isa you're allowed to kill him, even though when Bezdin would be danim on the ma'isa, he would walk. And that's what the Gemara wants to understand. We go to the two dots at the bottom of the Omer. Bo minei Rav Kahana me Rav. Rav Kahana asked the following question to Rav. Lo pogu bo kanoim mahu. If the kanoi did not actually manage to take him out. So what is the din? In Shaye Rav Lagamre, Rav forgot what he had been taught about this. Akru Rav Kahana bechelme, but a pasuk was read to Rav Kahana in a dream, or he had like a sort of prophetic dream, and in his dream he heard a pasuk. Bogda Yehuda v'toeva nesa b'Yisrael u'b'Yushalayim ki chilel Yehuda kodesh Hashem Hashayev u'bal bas el nechar. There's a pasuk in Navi. So Amalei. Also, Rav Kahana went and told Rav, Hachi Akrun, there's a pasuk that I dreamt last night. Ad Krei Rav Lagamre. Now Rav remembered what he was taught. Bogda, you say this pasuk is now being darshaned word by word. Bogda Yehuda, right? Yehuda has rebelled. Zu avos kochavim. This refers to the sin of idol worship. V'chein omer chein babartem bi beis Yisrael num Hashem. It brings another pasuk, and that pasuk is said in the context of criticizing Am Yisrael for avodah zarah. It's called a begida. It's called a rebellion. Now going back to the pasuk of Darshan, v'to'eva nesta b'Yisrael u'b'Yerushalayim, and a abomination was done in Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Zeh mishkav zachar. That aspect of the pasuk refers to mishkav zachar. V'cheinu omer ve'zachar lo tishkav mishkavei isha to'eva hi. So, as the Toeva is because that's how the Chumash itself refers to the Isser. Kichil Yehuda Kosh Hashem, for Yehuda has been machalo the kedusha of Hashem. Zu Zaina, this refers to being nichshal in with znus with a woman that is a zona per se. V'cheinu Omer lo yeh kadesh b'bnei Yisrael. Let's say the Isser of being with a zona per se is called a kadesha, as that's chilo kadesh alludes to that. Ubal bas el nechar, and he was Baal, the daughter of a foreign god. Zehabala kusis. Right, this is a person that actually has relations with a shiksa. Uksiv basrei, and it's written afterwards. Yachas Hashem licha sheyase erev va'ona. Hashem will now cut off the person that will do erev va'ona. Me'ole Yaakov, from the tents of Yaakov. Umagish mincha Hashem tzos, and also be cut off from bringing a mincha, a korban mincha to Hashem. So this is darshan in Talmud Chacham hu lo yelo er b'chachayim v'onu b'talmidim. If he's a Talmud Chacham, we won't have any remnant. No one will remember him amongst the Chachamim, and he won't have any Talmidim. Im kohen hu lo yelo ben megish mincha Hashem tzvakas. And if he has a son, if he's a kohen, he will not. He'll also be cut off. That his descendants will not be the ones that bring korbanos. So anyone who's bought on a shiksa is as if he married avodah zarah. The same pasuk. Does a foreign god have a daughter? Right? Ella ze'abala kusis. So now the source for the isser of being with a shiksa, which is what the Gemara is asking. What is the sin in it of itself? Like let's say the kanoi doesn't get him. The source is a pasuk in Navi. Now, all the other things that were darshaned from this pasuk in Navi have a source in Chumash, like avodah zarah, like mishkav zachar, like lo se'eh kadesha b'bnos Yisrael. There is nothing in this pasuk that refers back to anything from the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, which means. Right, and this is a question that we're going to deal with later in this series. Right, seemingly the whole isser of being with a shiksa on a one-time basis, right, is a midivrei Kabbalah. It's learned out of this pasuk in Navi. Shitas Rambam on that issue, if the only source is a pasuk in Navi, means it's a drabbanan. No, it's not mutter, right? It's it's an isser drabbanan, right? No, so you're talking about Hasra by Kanoim Pogim. Excellent. Machlokas Rishonim. So Machlokes Rishonim. You would think not, but the Ravid says you have to give Asra.
And there's 2 Eidim also?
You don't need 2 Eidim. It happens b'shas Maisa. There's no, if the Kanoim missed the moment, there's no, the judiciary doesn't take up the case. So, and that's the amazing thing. We don't know, that b'shas Maisa you could kill him, right? But what is exactly the offense? What?
If he does it afterwards, it might be Chaim Mesa.
No, he's not.
He has the Shas Mesa.
What? He's not. He walks.
No.
He walks. What?
The Kanoim.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. Right? All right, so now, the reason why this is important to clear exactly is what would be the din, right? If the circumstances of Zimri and Cosby were as such that someone held a gun to Zimri's head, let's say a Midyani would hold a gun to Zimri's head and say, do it with Cosby or I'm going to kill you. Is it Yeharig Val Yavor? There's a shaila in the...
It's not with the rice.
No, that is the question. Is it really Gili Arias if it's Midivrei Kabbalah?
Is it in public or in private?
What?
The question is in public or private?
Yeah, but the seeming... What?
If it's in public or in private.
Where do you see that it makes a difference? Because I understand. You're asking outs like this, right? That any avera, if done publicly in front of 10 Jews, and the kavana is dafka laha'aviro, right? So it's Yeharig Val Yavor. That's what you're asking, right? So even then, that's only if it's a bona fide avera, right? So this is an area of inquiry, right? If the Isser is only midrabanan, right? Would there be a chiyuv of Yeharig Val Yavor on Zimri, right? If what? And the what?
I said no.
There's, just say at least it's a machlokes, you and the Pogim, right? Right. No, we're going to discuss it, and it's correct. What Barry said is correct. That you have to be down on it, even Bitsina, because the Gilia Rice is one of the big 3 that even Bitsina are Yeharig Val Yavor. Avodah Gilia Rice, Shlichus Damim. So the question is relationship with a shiksa, right? Is it beget or Gilia Rice? Is it beget? If it's beget or Gilia Rice, it's even biyochid. Right, but even if, even b'tzibur, b'farhesher, b'fnei yud b'yisrael, which also the criteria thereof is that the guy that's forced to do it is not mechavin lahano asatzmo, he's doing it just b'dafka to get you to transgress Torah, right? Still, it has to be an isser. And the question is whether, and if this is only an isser d'Rabbanan, is it Yeharig Val Yavor? Right? So this is one of the questions that we are going to reserve. Right. Another question: what happens if the characters are reverse? It is a guy, male, with a Jewish girl. Right? Characters are reversed. The male and female characters are reversed. I know Bismanenu, it makes no difference. Right? They all use the same restroom. Right? But what would be the din? Right, if because right, so the 2 of them, right? Right. Very good. So the question is, is there would there be a heter for right? Excuse me. Right, Esther Mako. Okay, excellent. So there's some poskim that say black and white that and they are assuming, right? They bring a raya from Esther. The Gemara asks, Esther b'farhesya havoy, because the whole world saw them living together, right? But here's the problem. And there are some poskim that say that invoke the Gemara, that says that it simply duplicated the conditions of Kanoim Pogim because it was b'farhesya. Esther b'farhesya havoy. Right? Right. So as there's a heter of karka oila, right? But here's the problem, right? She was an anusa. She was an anusa, right? It was against her will. No, until that time, the kasher avadati, Yeah, that's why it's not a good raya. Like, let's say, could a woman commit adultery, beratzon, and just be passive? And say, well, it's karka olam. No, it doesn't help if it's beratzon. So the karka olam is a good heter, right? Where you're out to get out of the chiyuv misa or out of the chiyuv of chilul Hashem, which is which overcomes the heter of pikuach nefesh when you're in onus. Right? Our question is...
Can you elaborate on the anusa? I'm not picking up the anusa.
If she would have told Achashverosh to go to, where she'd get what Vashti
But
got.
not for the Maisa.
What?
That she doesn't get to the Maisa at that point. If she says no, she's dead before she gets to the Maisa. If she tells the king...
Right, she has to... No, that's any case of an anusa, right? She consents so as to avoid being killed. Right, she would have told Achashverosh where to go. She would go the same way as Vashti, right? So of course she has. So wasn't it not Yehorig Val Yavar? The Gemara wants still, even though it's an oinus, right? It should be Yehorig Val Yavor. So Gemara says Karka Olam, but Karka Olam is a ptur in the context of where it's be'oinus. Our Claire right now, whether there's a din of Kanoim, Pogim, Bo. Right? When it's beratzon b'farhesya, like a Jewish girl, chas v'shalom, would want to make the same public statement that Zimri wanted to make. So now, mitzad di avera, generally, wherever's usher, to male to female is usher from female to male. Right? So if it's mitzad di isser of a Jew being together with a goy, it makes no difference whether he's the male and she's the female, or vice versa, seemingly, or maybe not. Right, that's another area of inquiry that we're going to deal with. All right, so now skipping down to most of the page that deals with more on the issur of being with goyim, which it sounds like from this Gemara the whole thing is derabbanan. Agav Rashi on Rashi again the halach is not like this Rashi, but the. Rashi, when the Gemara says, "And Dibra Masloves Kochamim," right? Lo seschatim bam ki yoser kol masir esalev b'mashma miu lav de lo teschatim bam lekka deoraisa. Right, that which the Gemara invokes the isser of lo seschatim bam here on this Amud, right? It is not deoraisa. The derech chatnus mashma, right? Because it's derech chatnus means kiddushin. Goyim don't have kiddushin. All right, so the Gemara, Rashi Paskins like the Mandomer that the Isra of Lo Sischatin Bam was talking in a scenario that the Shiva Umos that occupied our, so that's where the Pasuk said, Lo Tischatin Bana Ita, right? That those, in the event that one of those 7 nations converted to Judaism, you still are not allowed to marry with them. Similar to Ammoni and a Moavi male that convert to Judaism, they're also Lovo Bakal, despite the fact that they've become Jewish. So Rashi passes that Mandoma, the Isra of Lo Sischatin Bam was said on the Shiva Umos that occupied it, so those Shiva Umos that don't exist anymore. Right? So Lo Sischatin Bam is, there is, that Isra Doraisa doesn't apply. It applies in the event that one of the 7 nations converted to Judaism, that you still may not marry them. Derachatmas Asatar. The halacha is not like this Rashi, you should know. Right? We pass like the Rambam. The question is where the Rambam source is. Just you should know that to live with a goy derech keva, right, consistently is an isser doraisa. So what the Gemara is talking about is an isser drabanan, according to the Rambam, which is the way we paskin. What's an isser drabanan seemingly is a one-time contact. Right, but we pass it on that the love of Lo Sischatin is talking about when it is derech chatnus, as in even though kiddushin there isn't between Jew and goy. All right, but if they live together, kavua, that's when the love applies.
There's only one heter.
What?
By Eshesh Vas Toar.
Right.
And if you look over there by the Simchas Chachamim, he goes through a whole inyan on there was obviously some sort of marriage between goyim. He deals a little bit with it.
Okay, fine. Okay,
there is something.
All right. Okay. Right. No, the Torah is matzah the bia. The first bia. Right. Okay. Fine. So, all right. But he.
I'm saying.
Look, I want to make things worse before we make things better. So please, let's go a few lines down to see the greater complications. All right, so hold this question. All right, the question is, what exactly is Yisr? Would it be Yehorik Val Yavor? Just like Kanoim Pogim? Would it be if Zimri had a gun to his head? Right? Would it be Yehorik Val Yavor? And what would be the din if the characters were reversed? It's a guy with a Jewish girl doing it baratzon. Right? Is there a din of Kanoim Pogim? Keep those questions in mind. Going to the towards the bottom of the Amud. The Amar of Chisda. It's like 3 lines before the lines get lined. Habali Malach ein marin lo. Itna nami Amar Rabba Bar Barchan Rabbi Yochanan Habali Malach ein marin lo. Right. So this is a very interesting din of the Kanoim Pogim that if he asks a shaila, should I do it or not? We do not answer him. We do not give him a psak to do it. It is an amazing thing. Right? And then the Gemara at the bottom of the Yom tells that's exactly in the dialogue between Moshe Rabbeinu and Pinchas. So it says that, it says, Vayar Pinchas ben Elazar. There's like 4 lines from the very bottom. Ma ra, marav, ra, ma'asev, v'niskar locha. Amalo achi abba, so he told Moshe Rabbeinu, uncle, lo kachli matanu britcha mehar Sinai, bo sakutis kanoim polo, but didn't you teach us when you came from Har Sinai, this halacha Moshe B'Sinai, kanoim polo, amale karaina de igrasa, iu lahave parvanka, he who reads the letter should be the one that carries out. Meaning he couldn't say the words yes. He just could not say the words yes. So a very interesting thing that seemingly you would think it's the right thing to do. So why can't Bezdin tell you to do it? Or why can't the Mora Hara, do you ask? It's halacha ve'ein morim came, and that should tell something about the Gedarim. It's like you understand, if it's the right thing to do, your Rebbe should be able to tell you to do it, and he's not allowed to tell you to do it. Agav, what I say based on this interesting halacha, to say pshat in a Zohar in this week's parsha. The Zohar says that when Pinchas rose to do what he did, he dropped dead from fear, like he was going to take on the Nasi of Shevet Shimon in front of Shevet Shimon. Right? It was and he just dropped dead from fear. The neshamas of Nadav Avihu were in the area, and they possessed his body on a permanent basis, right? And that's what reanimated him. And he went back, and and with the koach of the neshamas of Nadav Avihu inside of him, he came back to life, and he completed the Maisa, and took out Zimri. And that's what it says in the Kisvei Ari. Ana Hashem Moshiana. Ana is Rashi Tevis Eliyahu Nadav Avihu. Right, Pinchas Eliyahu, and he has inside of him, and that the Zohar explains is how he got a din of being a kohen. Right, he was a Levi, but now he has the neshamas of Nadav Avihu who are Kohanim inside of him. That's part of explaining the mechanics of the transition. So I say a pshat in that Zohar, that Kayadua, one of the Chatayim that Nadav Avihu were guilty of, that Chazal count as they were Meira Halacha Bifnei Rabbam. They paskined in front of Moshe Rabbeinu. Here was their tikkun, because this was a case where it's Halacha Ve'morka, and he had to paskin in front of Moshe Rabbeinu. As the Gemara says, he could not eat ein chokma ve'ein tfuna ve'ein chokim b'makom chil Hashem ein chokim kavod l'rav. Right. So this was actually the requiem, right, for Nadav Avihu, because by Kanoim Pogim it's halach. You're supposed to paskin in front of your Rebbe and not be chas on his kavod, right? He asked him, but Moshe didn't answer, and so no. In normative gedorim of Mora Halacha b'fnei Rabbo, your Rebbe doesn't answer. You still can't get up and paskin yourself. So over here is when it was mutter and the right thing to do, and that was the requiem for Nadav Avihu, and that's why we can understand that they were there and they helped him complete this Maisa. But what's more hard to understand, right, is the very next, going back to V'lo od Eloshim Piresh Zimri Vargo Pinchas Nagralav. If Zimri separated from Pinchas, right, then Pinchas would be chayav misa if he killed Zimri afterwards. This reflects the thing that already Rashi pointed out, that it has to be b'shas ma'aser. It's like you don't carry any penalty with you. There's no penalty upon you. It's a special din of Shas Maisa. Right? Nefach Zimri v'hargo lepinchas ein nerag olav sharei roidefhu. Now this is the most amazing halacha, right? That if Zimri, while Mamish connected to Cosby, flips over without separating from her and kills Pinchas, Zimri is potter, because Pinchas is a roidef. Right? This is amazing. Right? Seemingly Pinchas is doing the right thing. Right? To illustrate, right? A person who is being taken out for skila, right? Because he's chayav skila. So they're taking him out to the base of skila. They didn't know, right? He's a ninja, right? So in self-defense, he starts beating up the guys that are taking him out. He's not going, he's not going easily, right? Right, Yala al Adas, that he's not going to be chayav for a tzicha. You say, I'm doing it in self-defense. Self-defense goes by who's in the wrong and who's in the right. The Yad Ramah, right, on the sugya of Baba Machteres. Everyone knows the reason why you're allowed to kill a Baba Machteres is because he's willing to kill. He's willing to kill. All right, because Eno the Mamid Chazaka the Rava, Eno the Mamid Atzmo Mamono, no one could sit quietly. No one could sit quietly when his money's being taken. So what? So it says the Yad Ramah, right? That means no one could sit quietly when his money is being taken, means that the Balabas will kill the Ganav. And therefore, that's why the Ganav is coming. That's why the Ganav is coming willing to kill, because he knows the Balabas will kill him. So Frek the Yad Ramah Kasha, right? You would say like this. Right? Really, the Balabas is at fault. Right? Because the only reason why the Ganav is willing to kill is because the Balabas will kill him. So the Ganav is killing himself in self-defense. There's a guy, hard-working guy, just trying to make a living. Right? 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 And then the Balabas can't take it like a man. He's willing to kill him. And that's why the Ganav is willing to kill. Right? So it says the Yad Ramah, look, it goes by who's in the moral right. Who started it. The Ganav started by breaking in. So even though the Ganav's willingness to kill is mitzad self-defense against the Balabas, right? It can't be called that the Ganav is acting out of self-defense if he started. Right? So over here, right, who started? Zimri started. Right? He created the problem. Right? So we have to understand, why does Pinchas have a din of a roidif? Right? So now the question is like this: if Pinchas does have a din of a roidif, right? Well, which is unbelievable, right? So Zimri can kill him in self-defense while he's still with Cosby. While Zimri is mutter, damo hutar, he could still defend himself.
Yeah, but at that point, Zimri felt that he was doing something that was mutter, then it's unlike the case of Baba Machteres, where the guy goes in, he's stealing. Morally, he knows right away morally.
No, yeah, but what Zimri's doing is morally wrong, right? So Zimri started. He's like the break-in entry.
Did he know at that point that he was doing something wrong?
What? He was doing it out of spite, right? Look, if it was B'shogeg, if a guy honestly didn't know it's usher, there's no din of Kanoim Pogim.
So they're
saying, at least let's put it like that. According to the Ravid, you have to be warned. You'd be partial, you're dead. So for sure, Shogeg that means the Ravid understands Shogeg is potter from Kanoim Pogimbo. He started. Zimri started, right? And Pinchas has a din of roidif. Right? So, why does Zimri have the right of self-defense? It's like saying the guy that's Baba Machter should have the right of self-defense because the Baal Bais is willing to kill him. You say, no. It goes by who started the whole thing. Zimri started. But then there's a bigger question. Okay? And the source sheet that I gave you. In Daf Ayin Dalid, inside there's the din of Yochol La'atzilo Be'echad Me'evarav, right? So it's at the very top, Ayin Down Rav, Rabbi Yosef Bar Shaul Omer, 3 lines from the top. Rodif Sher Rodif Achar Lahargo V'Yochol La'atzilo Be'echad Me'evarav. Right, a rodif is running after someone, but you don't need to kill him to stop him. Right, you could shoot him in the legs, and that'll work. Right, Right? V'lo hitzil neragalav. Right? So if you're able to do that and you didn't do it that way, you're chayiv misa. Right? My timer, the Rebbe Yonasan ben Shul, the Chsiv Kinat Tzarash Yachtav, Rav Lazar Mitzvah Mitzvah Zakasav Midab Chsiv Vasu Yeh Nachas Neverach. Right? In the case of two men fighting. Right? So obviously it must be that they were really out, to kill, because im yasov and asata nefesh tachas nefesh, it wasn't stam a fist fight that the guy dropped dead by accident. They were out to kill, because it says im yason, if one of the people fighting dies, it's asata nefesh tachas. Va'afil achiyah marachmona leyason anoshe onesh. Right? So the Torah says that if there won't be any type of and no one will die, so onish, they have to pay damages if, like, the woman loses the kids, or the woman who tried to help her husband. So you have to pay for the fetuses that were lost, right? And we don't say, right, right, and we don't say that there's a p'tur of kimlei b'dramine. Imam rispishlam yochol latzil becham ivar v'lo nitan latzil b'nafsho ha'shachs ladi onesh k'od shochol bechad me'ivarav. Right, so because a rodef has a din of kimlei b'dramine. If they were out to kill each other, right, and there's a tour of kimlei b'dramine for any damage done. Right, maybe we should have. That's the next Gemara. Right, that rodef achavel v'shibras kaim ben shurov ben shokolam potter maitar mischay benafshu. Since he's fair game, he's a rodef. Since anyone could kill him, that's nit erger, not any worse than any mechuyev. He says potter from tashlumin, right? So if these guys were out to kill each other, they're roidfin, right? So and any damage done in course of a radifa, monetary damage, potter. That's a din of kimlei b'dramine. Because if the guy could be killed to stop him from being roidif, so he's potter on all the damages that he does. That's a din of kimlei b'dramine. Must be that the scenario Torah is talking about is that it wasn't mukhrach to kill. It was possible to be yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav, and that's why im lo yason, anosh onesh. Right. So the okay. So yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav, right? Is there's no din of roidef if you could take him out another way. So frekta kli chemda, an unbelievable kasha. Zimri is a yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav. Pull out. What? How can the Gemara say that he's potter? He's with Cosby, right? And he's allowed to still defend himself because Pinchas is a roidef, and that's amazing. Pinchas is doing the right thing, still roidef, and we have to explain all that. Right? But by roidef, there's a din of yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav. If there's another way out to stop the roidef, you're not allowed to take his life. Zimri has another way to stop Pinchas. Just pull out. Like, why, pulling out of Cosby, why is that any worse than Yochol Lahatzil Bechad Me'ivarav? So why do you give him the benefit that he's a little...
Let him take all your goods. Don't they say that? Why is he wrong? Let him take let the Balabas, let the Ganav take all your property, and he won't kill you, you won't kill him. You're not required to do that, are you? You're not required to save yourself by acceding to the rodent. You can kill him without acceding.
No, but we're talking about saving. Saving, you could, what?
Zimri is not a rodef.
Pinchas, Gemara says Pinchas is a rodef. And that's why Zimri, even when he's with Cosby, and even though Pinchas is allowed to kill him, he's still allowed to defend himself. The Gemara called because he's a roidef, and that's an amazing thing. This is a roidef who's doing the right thing, which is an amazing thing that we have to try to get our heads around. But here's a simple question: if you give Pinchas a din of roidef, right, and that means you give Zimri all the benefits of a matzil, the halachos of a matzil, that you're allowed to take out the roidef with his life if necessary, but in yochol lahatzil be'echad me'evarav. Right? You got to do that first. So, practically, Chemda, this week's parasha, an unbelievable kasha. Zimri is a yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav. Just pull out. And then Pinchas has to stop chasing you. It's on. What? So? No, but he's yochol lahatzil bechad me'ivarav. Pulling out of Cosby is not worse than shooting at the legs. That if you shoot at the legs, and you could do it without taking his life, that's what you're chayiv to do, and you're mechuyev misa. Now the way we paskin, by the way, the Ram paskins, that there's a difference between Bnei Noach and Bnei Yisrael. You should know, just for your own information. Yochel lahatzil be'echad me'evorav, right? The Rambam passes Yechayiv Misa b'dei Shemayim, but not b'dei Bezdin, but that's in our laws, right? So Yechayiv Misa means b'dei Shemayim. That which the Gemara said, Nerak, and literally, that says the Rambam is in no-hide law. By the Bnei Noach, a nirdaf that could have shot, at the legs and didn't, like police brutality, whatever, he could have shot at the legs and didn't have to take the guy out. In Bnei Noach, they get executed for that carelessness that you could have been Yachol Lahatzil. By us, it's Chayav Misa B'dei Shemayim. But either way, right? There's no heter to take out a roidif im Yachol Lahatzil Bechad Me'evarav. So why couldn't? So Zimri is a Yachol Lahatzil Bechad Me'evarav. He could pull out.
Assuming it's after the tzamtzim.
What?
You're making an assumption that it's after the tzamtzim. I'm not so sure it's after the tzamtzim when he's in the act over there. I don't know if it's after the tzamtzim. And the same thing with Machteres. You don't know what the guy's coming for. It's not after the tzamtzim.
Does that apply to the victim?
Not to what
To Zimri, Pinchas
Okay.
is a Rodef. To Pinchas, he's not a Rodef.
What?
To Zimri,
Okay.
Pinchas is a Rodef.
To Zimri.
To Zimri, to Pinchas, he's not a Rodef. Pinchas himself doesn't call himself a Rodef.
I don't want to go.
He's not calling himself
Well, it goes by how you identify.
No.
Right?
Normally
He can use the Rodef restroom because he identifies as a Rodef.
Normally a Rodef is mitzvah. A Rodef is not.
When he walks in there, Zimmy walks in there with the dagger. He's already. That's it. He's already. He's a bull in the china shop.
Okay, fine. I want to raise two more. I want to raise just two more questions, and then I want to make Avrami Farber happy. Right?
That applies to the victim.
Right. Fine. No. I just two more questions. And then we're going to start wrapping. We'll start wrapping these areas of confusion. Start next week and, if necessary, the week after. Just two more questions regarding this. Right? If Pinchas is a roidef, and that's why Zimri has the right to self-defense, how about someone else from Shevet Shimon taking out Pinchas to defend Zimri? Right? Don't we say by rodef? It's not just the nirdaf that's allowed to take out the rodef. Third party. Is also allowed, right?
That's where you
right? So now what is the halacha by Kanoim Pogim? If you tell me that Zimri could defend himself, could someone else from Shevet Shimon also have taken out Pinchas to stop him? What do you think? Believe it or not, there's some Rishonim that say Mefurish not. It's Zimri could defend himself. No one else is allowed to intervene. And that's counterintuitive if you think about it. And we're going to have to explain why this is. Because Zimri is guilty, right? And he's allowed to defend himself. The guy, the innocent bystander, right, whose domo is not hutar, right? His blood is not fair game, right? He's not allowed to save. It's something which needs explanation, right? Why? Only the guy who's with the shiksa, right?
No, I'm saying the other people, they should.
Right. So there's some Rishonim actually say that not. It's a special privilege that Zimri has for himself. Right. So now one more question. Right, and we'll start wrapping this all up next week. So now, as per the Gemara we just read from another parak in Sanhedrin, a rodef that is, being rodef after someone else to kill him, he breaks kalim along the way. So the Gemara says all the kalim that he broke mid redifa, he's potter on. He doesn't have to pay. That's the din of kimle b'draba mineh, because he's a mechuyev misa. He's a mechuyev misa because anyone could take him out, right? So because they would take out, there's a mechuyev misa. So all the kalim, all the monetary damage perpetrated while in course of the redifa, he's potter on. So I want to know like this. Right? There's a Rebbe Kiva Eger on this. How about Zimri while he's with Cosby? He, out of spite, breaks kalim, does all types of monetary damage while he's in that state that Pinchas is allowed to kill him. Is he going to be potter on all that monetary damage that he does midin kimei b'draba mineh? Or maybe not, because we see that Kanoim Pogim is a big chiddush, right? It's not a sin that carries any type of death penalty if it goes to Bezdin. Efshar Shalom, we will be done on that. But the one thing we do...
Not on Pinchas also. If he breaks Caleb B'Shas Maisa.
Right.
Because he's Chayav Misa Mitzvah Zimri being able to get.
Excellent. If Pinchas is a roidif, right? Since Pinchas is a roidif, right? What about the Kim that Pinchas breaks? Excellent. I didn't even think of that. Excellent. Right? Very good. Because Pinchas is a roidif. So what if Pinchas breaks Caleb? All right. So the one question I do want to wrap up for today, and we'll be done on all these shalos next week, and if necessary the week afterwards, is this halacha l'maaseh bizman hazeh? If it would happen, in Times Square, a lot of things happen, right? Right? If it would happen in this day and age, all right, is there a din of Kanoim Pogim bo? Is there any chiluk that that we are not dan dinei nefashos bizman hazeh? So what does your intuition tell you? Aside from din malchusa. Look, if the guy is a white Republican, no one would care. Right? So
Intuition is extrajudicial, applies at all times.
extra, excellent, correct, and that's in the Choshen Mishpat, Siman Tov Chav Hey, Siman Takeh, right? Apropos, right? Mefurish over here in the Siftau in the Ramah, right? Habala akum bifarhesia. Le'ene Yud Yisraelim. This is very interesting that this is not written in our Gemara, but it's a simple extrapolated principle that the Ramah is saying. Because we say by the dinim of Yaharek Val Yavor that Parhesia is only Bifnei Asar B'Yisrael. So the Rishonim extrapolated by themselves that the din of Kanoim Pogim Parhesia must be mistama like all the dinim of Parhesia that we find in other halachas, that it's in front of 10 Jews. So even if it gets coverage on TV, but it's not in front of 10 Jews, right? It's not, it has to be there. Sorry. So, Kanoim Pogim bo, right? Umetsuvim, I can't, it's a little bit rubbed out over here. Largo, Vidafka B'Shas, Maisavim, Pirish also Lahargo. Right, that brings also after that the halacha of that, if halacha vein morin came, then obviously if he asks us, we're not allowed to tell him this out to it. But that's right, correct, as Avrami pointed out, and Avrami said he's not leaving this room until I give a heter to kill. Right, so it is halacha ma'asafil bizman hazeh because it's extrajudicial, as he correctly said. It's halacha vein morin came. The Sanhedrin doesn't even take the file if the guy got away from the kanoi. It's a special chiddush that has yet to be defined, a din of kanos that is not a bezdin dikadin, it's not a misas bezdin dikadin, and we will continue to be done next week. Be'ezer Hashem.
Shkoyah.
No, keep the sheets because we're going to use